Nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to You Love to Hear It, episode Truckee. Jack is claiming it's 41. We're claiming that Tahoe is looking beautiful right now. And before we drop any type of chaos, because this is going to be a chaotic one, we want to let you guys know that you can drop some comments, get them featured, let us know what you want us to talk about, topic of the day type-ish, and we'll throw your name on the screen. Appreciate the Patreon love, the support, any way you hit us up. Just send us a message. Let us know something you want us to chat about, and we'll make it happen. Jack, hit us with a topic.
Is it bib or bibs?
That's easy. Is it pant or pants?
Pants.
Bibs it is. Simple one. If you got a singular bib leg, it's a bib leg. If you got one pair of bibs, you're good. If you got a pair of pants, same deal. I was confused by that for a long time, and I'm really happy that we cleared that up. I would actually like to throw out a little bit of side controversy. Not controversy, but get a little fire started. Comment section, who's wearing long johns? And if so, what is your long john to sock ratio? We talked about this last year. We ended up finding out that Pat Fava, he goes full bunch on them. He doesn't go long john into the sock. He just bunches them up top. And if you're performing like him and you can actually make that work, then it started making me think, am I thinking about it too much? Am I overthinking the thought process? I go sock, completely tall up, no scrunch. Long john, completely down, no scrunch. Nice seamless layer. Check midday. You open that scenario up and it's a bag of worms. You got bunches, you got crumples, you got piles, you got little satchels. There might be an element satchel in there. Take off the boots, get a readjust. Perfect LJ to S ratio. That's a long john to sock ratio. And you're back out there. It feels like day one, back on the hill, first hour. Let us know what you guys think. What's your ratio? How do you save yourself when you clip a rail and land on it? Well, I'll tell you what, first things first, I was hesitant in my head. I was thinking about the jump, and then I was thinking about the rail set up before the jump, and then the rail before that to set up for the rail for the jump. And normally, you kind of just flow. You're just like, all right, I just need to land this one. But last second, I was coming in goofy. I was going to do a switch lip slide back to switch because it just feels good and it's harder. But right before, I was like, oh, I need to land regular to gap to have speed to the DFD, to have speed for the jump. So last second, I switched up my thought process from switch lip back to switch lip just to regular. And I think that quick little hesitation is the worst thing that you can do in snowboarding. You're almost better just like locking in and going straight. A lot of you guys golf, right? You know, there's that second to think about the shot, line it up. Then there's that second where you're thinking about your form, and then you go blank. You're supposed to just hit it. But if in that moment there, you have some type of weird thing going on, a leaf goes by, your hand slips, you're just not feeling it, and you back off the plate. That's what we're calling the tee box, the plate. You know that feeling. Everybody's like, oh, it's like everybody gives a little clap. Honorable. All right, yep, some of the greats do it.
Step off, good discipline. Great discipline.
None of that was right.
Yep, Tiger Woods would be real proud of that. Step off of it.
Same exact situation. Back off the tee box, back off the plate, back off the rail, but try to keep your line straight. You know what I mean? Don't do a little carve off or a little side jib, mess up the angle of the rail. Try to keep that rail trajectory straight. That's really my only tip there, Jack.
To avoid it in general, everything you've been saying is super proper, I think. You taught me from a very young age. If you are riding in a line and you're thinking about like the one banger that you have 4 rails ahead, a lot of the time you're gonna get screwed up on the 3 rails before that because your brain is so occupied with this thing that you're not even focusing on in that moment that you're you're donezo. So if you do end up doing that, I guess, I don't really know, man. That's kind of just spur of the moment, game time decision, animal brain takeover. Like,
I think I figured it out.
Avoid the ribs.
Avoid the ribs. If you get good pop, then on your way up, if you're clipping it, because that's when you shift, I mean, you avoid it by holding, being way up and over the rail, then turning. But if you clip and you're on your way up, as long as you don't clip enough to stay underneath it, and it kind of does that fling, you're still tall body. You can compress and get short up in the air and be this little air pocket of stoke that then lands on the rail and just get that balance point right so that you can slide and pop off. But the biggest thing is like pop high so that you can kind of have that leverage, that security. But little side tip, like you were saying about thinking about your next feature too far ahead. I know you guys are on the links. When you're trying to count your score, when you're 4 or 5 strokes in, but you still have to putt and you're doing, it's taking away your putting ability. Focus on the shot at hand when you're on the greens. You know what I mean? Don't be worried about the back woods. Take your mind off of it. Will allow you to perform better, and then you'll have less strokes to count.
All right, Casey, break down the difference between spinning off of a natty, pow, sometimes downward angle takeoff versus a perfectly manicured park jump takeoff.
I guess like height and distance and everything matters, but I guess if it's just a drop off, it's almost like small pop or like no pop and less initiation, kind of just do nothing and something starts to happen. You also, I think, have to get your upper and your lower body very detached. Like you kind of go off of it with your front body already done. I mean, I'm thinking like a 360, and it's mostly just using your legs that were 180 degrees behind where your core was and bringing them to where your core is and then pushing them 180 degrees in front of where your core is. And that is kind of how you don't continue to spin in the powder when you land, because it's a lot less forgiving because you can't just spin around. When you land on a jump, a lot of times you do a 7 or something, it's the same thing. You're at 540, you see the last 180 or even 270 gets pushed around with the legs so that the legs can land toe edge engaged. Every trick lands on toe edge, by the way. We'll come to that later. And that's a crazy one. And it allows your upper body to land and use your core to, as it's spinning, catching up to where your lower body was. Use your core to spin even sometimes a little bit past 180. I feel like you could bring up like a Sean clip or like any really fast spin clip where they land and their body keeps spinning, but the toe edge stays in and the tail almost comes off the ground and tweaks and bends and you ride it out. And then you can bring up some clips of us, pretty much most of Daly's, where the 360 lands. And if that body's kind of where the legs were, it just keeps going.
The biggest thing you hear when you're learning how to spin off a park jump is just being as patient as you possibly can be off the lip, getting onto that final edge that you're then going to spin off of. Some people say, like Casey, like imagine that the lip is 4 inches longer.
4 feet.
4 feet longer. Take that concept of being super patient and not super aggressive on your edges and multiply that by 1,000,000 when you're taking off of a pow takeoff. Because the second that you get too aggressive off that takeoff, you're just going to sink into that powder and you're not going to do anything that you wanted to do.
I made that, maybe it was a reaction video to like where the homie went upside down and whatnot, and I kind of tried to break that down. Maybe we should try to really break that down right now for the people. You could even throw some stuff on the screen for the viewers. What we're saying is, on a park jump, you don't want to scrub, ideally. Scrubbing is when you're spinning before the jump. You lose speed, so then you have to start taking in more speed, assuming that you're going to scrub, and it starts to change the direction of where the nose of your board is going as you're taking off. So then you might start to drift either left or right. Usually regular rider going backside will drift to the right because as he gets on that toe edge that you take off with, you get on it too early, you start to go right. Think about going down the hill riding. If you're on your heel edge, you could be on your heel edge going right, but it's consistently bringing you left until you're pointing straight down the hill, and then your heel edge, you stay on it, it starts bringing you to the left. It's the same exact thing when you're going up the jump. So you want to be, say you're a regular rider and you're spinning backside, you want to be on your toe edge as you're approaching the jump, then you literally want to switch to your heel edge as you're starting to go up the jump. And then as you're literally going up, the middle of the belly is when you get onto that toe edge facing left so that it has a little bit of time to straighten out and go right, which ends up putting you perfectly straight for the takeoff. Act like it's 4 feet longer. Let that nose go off the jump as your body, your upper body, is already spinning to the right, but the nose of your board is going straight. So that way you will go straight. If you do anything else, you start to go left, you start to go right. If you start to scrub and do it early, then you can catch. That's when it throws you in a weird, crazy flip or some type of aerial maneuver. And that brings us into another topic of just like air awareness. A lot of good riders can have that happen to them and still make it to their feet and live to talk about it.
One last thing about the proper edge control takeoff situation. You can kind of get away fundamentally scrubbing until you get to about a 720. It's not going to look good, but you can make it happen. But good luck trying to progress anywhere past the 720 with a scrubby fundamental basis.
All right, I would like to address some accidental misinformational controversy that we did in one of the last. You'll love to hear it. We were trying to give some advice on how all snowboard jump tricks land on your toe edge. Me specifically finding out about this knees over toes program and building stronger legs, it makes sense. All athletes, whether you're a football player starting off the line or stopping quickly or jumping to make basketball shots, our body has a built-in spring system with the ankles and the toes, and landing on your heels, even from a small height, actually isn't good for you. It causes some crazy compression in your back and stuff. And then the half pipe riders jumped in, which I am so hyped that they even, first of all, watch the content. Second of all, give your boy the time of day to jump in. But you cannot think that we were talking about half pipe tricks. I don't get out of the half pipe. You've probably never seen, maybe I do a couple cripplers, but I'll tell you what, we're toe edge. I think maybe a backside method. I'll land on my heel edge every now and then. I think I've done a back five once, but that was specifically for jumps. Half pipe riders are in a whole nother category. They're doing another sport on top of our sport. Everybody that does jumps can usually do rails, and rails can do backcountry, and it all kind of intertwines, but then you just have these fundamental lords that are so good that they can also do everything else. Some might debate their rail game, but I think maybe if you were to swap out the bindings, get like a flexier board, not have these crazy sharp edges.
The snowboard that I ride in the half pipe is so unenjoyable on the mountain. Like, it is so stiff, so aggressive. So I usually try and ride something a little bit more fun and playful, and I have boards to do that.
I don't think they would have an issue. So just to clear that up real quick, half pipe riders, you guys are insane. And apparently you've been landing on your heel edge for a lot of these tricks, but I guess it's because it's a vert wall, so there's so much absorption that if you're doing that over a jump, back rodeo 7, 5, 9, front 10, front 12, back 16, triple anything, you name it, you're landing pretty toe edge. That's how you actually land and hold your edge and don't keep spinning. So nice to clear that up. Maybe in the future here we'll get a little bit more, Jack, a little more intricate with our breakdowns, break down a little bit more in depth, because we're just shooting shit on the chairlift. It ain't that deep. And just like here in Tahoe, it ain't that deep, but we're scoring, we're stoking. Boreal, let's give a breakdown. We got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 features on the left, 8 features on the right, 2 little booters. They're building another mid-park right now. You got side hits top to bottom. You got fresh corduroy all over the place. It's probably 40 degrees. Couldn't be nicer out. Monday, 0 people here. All-time vibe. Shout out Boreal. Pretty cheap pass too. One of those remaining mountains where you can $200, grab a pass and not go anywhere else for the season. You can actually score good powder here too. They had the, what did me and Nate session, the Danny Davis Peace Park. So sick last year. Honestly, it was just a little too cold and icy to get any good stuff, but Nate was chucking. And yeah, we're Truckee bound right now. Truckee talks, Truckee tariffs. If you haven't heard it, type in Truckee on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to your music. And we should actually break that down, how AI music is destroying everything. But there's some things that you can't do, you know what I mean? Like make up a country, western, Truckee-based album with inside jokes overnight so that you can have some hype to ride to. I'm not about the AI thing. And if some country westerner wants to redo that album, I will delete it and I will give you all the credits and stuff. We can make that happen. But there was some people that were like, you're just not supporting real creators with the AI music. And if you see the way that we're pushing the limits these days, just know it's because the Truckee soundtrack is in our ears as soon as we wake up. Motivation. Woo! All right, am I alone on this? I swear, I get to the top of the mountain, I have to pee so bad. I strap in. On my way to go find somewhere to pee, there's a little side hit. I land the jib. The pee's gone. I rip the whole rest of the run. I get down to the bottom. I have to pee so bad. I have to pee all the way up the chairlift. I get off the chairlift. I strap in. I'm on my way to go piss somewhere. I hit a little side hit. I land. I literally do not have to pee at all. I rip the whole rest of the run. And then I get to the top, and the whole process just repeats itself again. And sometimes you could end up going an entire day having to pee so bad. It makes me start to think that maybe I'm getting rid of a little bit of water too soon and my body starts to use it, because I'm still drinking water throughout the day. I'll literally drink water at the bottom, get back on the chairlift, have to pee even more, and just not pee the whole day over and over again. Can't be the only one. It's just something we're gonna have to deal with here. I'm going through it right now.
Me too.
Yep. Do you think you ride better or worse when you have to pee?
I think it would be funny to say better, but I think it definitely makes me ride worse because I have just this like underlying sense of anxiety that I don't know the whereabouts of. And it's just because of that minor feeling that you have to pee the whole time. But like you said, when you don't consciously have to pee anymore, you still do have to pee, so it's still affecting you. You just don't feel like you have to pee. Like your body still needs to excrete, weird word, but
Get rid of.
your body still...
We're not on freaking Webster.com.
Webster.com. Your body still needs to get rid of the pee. You just don't notice it all the time because you're busy doing other stuff. But I think it definitely affects you.
And the coffee makes it so much worse.
Oh my God.
But think about your best, favorite, most relaxed, steezy rider. He or she, we're just gonna say homie. Homie doesn't look like he's got a pee. You know what I mean? So I guess the moral of the story is don't hit that side hit. Just keep one foot unstrapped until you find a little nook somewhere far away from people, far away from the population, and take care of your business so you can be the best version of you, so you can ride to the most extreme abilities that you're capable of.
I have to pee right now.
Throw out a word that you don't think I'll know right now.
Extrapolate.
To extrapolate is to basically just like suck the resources out of, right? To just take out of, they extrapolate high fructose corn syrup from a kernel.
That was the correct definition, but not the correct usage in a sentence.
They do. They extrapolate oil out of the ground.
Extract.
They extrapolated exacerbation. Apparently this might just be a me and Mike Green thing, but when I brought it up to Jack, he doesn't really know. Mike Green knew immediately. You 50-50 a rail and you pop front three out. Sometimes you don't really get the pop right, so your back leg stays where it is and your front leg kind of rotates around the back leg, and it just looks, I think, poor. It doesn't look as good as if when you pop out, you get that big pop off your back foot, your front leg stays where it is, and then your back leg whips around pendulum of the front leg. We'll bring up two on the screen here. You guys let us know which one you think looks better, but it's almost, to me, like a tell. Like you didn't get the right pop. It's almost similar to when you go to do like a backboard pretzel or something, and instead of getting the pretzel, you do the shifty and you bring it back. It's dope, but you know right away that the homie wanted more. Or if you try the same thing, do the cab 2 front board, and then you try to bring it back, you do the shifty, but then it has to like snap back the 180. It reminds me of that same exact thing. You know what I mean on those other two, at least the cab 2.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll have to enlighten Jack on that one. Show you a couple clips. You might have been doing it.
I might have. So I'm picturing like if you're doing a front three, the proper way is your back foot over your front foot. Like is the nose of your board tilted towards the ground?
A little, yeah.
So if you're doing it the improper way, your nose is above your tail.
Down.
I feel like I do it. I feel like I front three out with my front foot above my back foot.
Let's front three out of every rail this run.
That sounds horrible.
Why?
But I don't know if I've done a front three out of a rail this season. What about a back three out? If you're doing a back three out correctly,
front foot is below.
Front foot is below.
Pivoting
Yes.
around.
Yes.
The back foot pivots
Yes.
around.
Okay, I completely understand what you're saying.
Kind of the same deal where it's like, you have to push that front foot forwards. You're just begging to make it around to the landing before something bad happens.
Wait. Front foot is below if you're doing it correct?
I'm just saying forwards. You're pushing the front foot around forwards to get it there. The front foot should just be chilling. Front leg's hanging out there. Back foot's doing all the spin work. If you're trying to take your front foot and actively bring the leg forwards to the landing, I could tell you're not doing it right. Bro, did you see that? Did you see the chairlift at not only Mammoth? The Mammoth one was pretty insane. One of the longer Mammoth chairlift lines ever, but the chairlift weight line for the gondola at Palisades.
I did not.
I'm claiming 3-hour wait for some preseason conditions. You gotta give a shout out to these diehards. We were talking about it in the last one. People invest a lot of money pre-winter, set everything up, book it. They're going regardless. and to show up and see that line and then actually wait in it, you had to do like, you had to walk uphill twice within the same line to then like wait to go downhill. It was heavy.
Dog.
Skiing, snowboarding, the industry is alive and well. A lot of money in it.
A lot of money in it.
Speaking of money in it, you want to dive into this one?
I don't know. I can
It's
start
a
it off.
touchy one.
I can start it off. From the time of dawn. Now, ever since the internet became such a huge facet of the snowboarding world and snowboard culture, there's been an argument between the riders that are putting out the full-length video projects, slaving away for a year to put out a 20-plus minute long video part in the streets or the backcountry or what have you. And some people think that they deserve more brand support than the influencer. And some other people have the opinion that the influencers, whatever that even means anymore, are the ones that are actually pushing the needle as far as brands getting more traffic to their product. What do you think, Casey?
Well, I'll tell you what. Got in the streets the other day for the first time in 11 years or something. I think literally 11 years. And right away my head goes, yeah, give all the money to the street guys, 100%. You can make the full-length video 12 minutes for all I care. I couldn't imagine getting 12 minutes of bangers in the street without dying. But not really owning a brand, but like owning somewhat of a brand and dealing with a lot of brands and being a snowboarder first, then person who puts out YouTube content or content on YouTube second. Some like to call it a YouTuber. I've never called myself that. I'm a snowboarder. I've put out parts. I've put out some street stuff back in the day. It's so much work, but at the end of the day, if you're not helping sell a product, then the brand is gonna go out of business. So you have to have that line to where potentially let the influencers do the content. You don't even need to watch it or support it, but let them get the brands in front of the people who are gonna give the money to then give to you to make the video part. I don't think it's an or, I think it's an and. We need street parts and influencers aren't going anywhere. And you're an influencer. We forget that whether you're a big brother to your little brother and no one's recording it, we're all making an influence on people. The term got coined in such a negative manner to where like people are like almost like travel vlog influencers where they're like, they're not doing something, they're not snowboarders, so they had to come up with a name which is like influencer, and it just makes you feel kind of crazy. But the word influencer couldn't be a bigger, more prominent thing. If you think JP Walker wasn't influencing snowboarding, or if you think Lucas Magoon, the most G'd up homie in the game, isn't an influencer like within snowboarding, then you're just sadly mistaken. We're all making an influence out here, so it's really all it is. It just comes down to it being you're an influencer. We're all influencers. So we're trying to do it for the right reason, baby. Woo! Yeah, if you think Lucas Magooner isn't doing it, then you're sadly mistaken. I believe that we're all out here influencing. Some of us just aren't really utilizing it in a manner that helps sell product for brands. So I think maybe just tapping into a little bit of what you think is a good way to make social media that isn't just bangers is very critical. Showing your face, talking more, letting people know that you fall. These are all things that when I was snowboarding, I'm thinking these pro riders are all getting helicoptered in to the top of wherever they are, whether it's a resort or not. They're hopping in limos, and someone like me starts to get a lot of love because I'm showing that we're sleeping in our cars in the Boreal parking lot like Jack did last night. I had a nice warm comfy bed, but I'm also 12 years older than Jack. He's putting in the work right now, paying off.
Paying my dues.
Paying the dues. And yeah, showing the dues that you're paying, showing how much work it takes to build these street spots, showing how insane your winter is living in vans, and how many dope memories you're making on these trips is so critical. So yeah, put some more content out. And I also understand why it's so hard to. You know what I mean? To perform that well and build these spots and then also be like, oh yeah, and make a vlog. I understand it all, dude. Well, we're doing a little revamping, a little construction on old past conversations. What did you have for us there?
There's all these false rumors, whether we learned them from like your boy's older brother in a damp basement in 2008, or if you learn them from your teacher in elementary school. There's just these things that we've heard that we came to think of as fact that you then come to learn isn't even close to true. For example, we learned, or at least I learned in the New York City public school system, that hibernation for bears means that a bear crawls into a cave and goes to sleep for the entire winter.
Don't tell me it doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't. They eat, they cruise around a little bit. We're gonna have to clarify exactly what it does mean, but for sure it doesn't mean that a bear goes to sleep for 4 months straight.
Oh my God.
That's not real.
I got one for you. Cold water doesn't boil faster than hot water. I don't know how they got me with that one, but just like you'd think, colder water takes longer to boil than hot water.
Oil doesn't actually come from extinct dinosaur bodies? I still thought that it did.
Something tells me that that was planned. This is an easy one. If you make money doing something like snowboarding, you're not a professional. Your boy Scrizzy was making money doing construction for the first couple of years. He wasn't a pro. Look at him now. Now he is. Day 2, same thoughts. We want to pay homage to the rail part riders who don't have enough time to like put out other content, vlogs around the rail part that they're filming. That's always my biggest thing, is like put out other stuff as well to promote it, so that when your video drops, it's not the first thing that people see for super long, and which, you know, makes the views not get as high because people aren't as hype on your stuff. But when you're filming something that hard and that gnarly, not only is it gnarly on the body and the footage and everything going through and traveling and all that, which is like what the people should see and want to see and would help the views and the followers, but all that at the same time as then editing short form content, it's just almost unrealistic. These guys are already on a budget. These girls are already on a budget, and it's already super gnarly living. So I do want to just state that that is very difficult to do, is to put out other content. But that's where you find some younger kids, some groms, some up and comers, people who don't have as much experience doing what you're doing and want to do that. And you kind of bring them along, and that's their job. Maybe they're not the best cinematographer, filmer, but they're cutting through stuff and doing little teasers. And it's just a way to get the promo into the rail part riders and show how much goes into it, how much hard work it is, so that they can actually bring more value to the brand, so that they can sell more stuff for the brand, so that they can get bigger budgets. We need rail parts. And that's that. Maybe we just need to talk about how epic snowboarding is and how beautiful it is, and touch on the topic of how can we get more love and stoke into snowboarding. Is it by getting more influencers, less influencers, more rail parts, less rail parts? I gotta say, I can't even keep up with all the freaking parts because I'm surfing too. Skating's the foundation. So you're just everywhere you go, you have a different crew and a different person. And it's hard to keep up with, especially when we shouldn't even be on social media. It's like the worst thing for us. Even the corny stuff, when people do good deeds and they're like, oh, don't put that on film, you should just be doing it. Like, if there's corny content out there that isn't good and negative and stuff, then why not make a reminder so when people are swiping, they see, oh, homie just got given a free snowboard, as a reminder, like, yo, even if you don't have enough things, the act of giving what you already don't have somehow, believe it or not, regardless of your beliefs, does bring more. And that's just the type of stuff that we should be doing. So if that's the type of content that's happening, then I'm all for that too. I think it's all about just being for everything. Nothing's outdated, nothing's too trendy, nothing's too cool.
We should shed some light on some of these video parts that have been coming out past couple months. First and foremost, we got Paved from Burton, your run-of-the-mill $1 million budget Burton snowboard film with helicopters and drones and just all the biggest names that you can think of. Danny Davis with the downward Natty takeoff, back 7. Zeb with the front flip in probably no goggles. But yeah, Nitro Spike was insane. Iris Pham had a crazy part. Nick Miller with another standout.
Truckee Dopamine just hit the first 3 jumps of the season for your boy over here. Got to the bottom, immediately was claiming it's undeniable. Jumps are more fun than rails. Jack did a little sigh. Stayed silent, you know what that means. Then I followed it up by thinking about it for a minute, like, why aren't people jumping over rails? And then it reminded me of another thought, which we can relate to, but that is, if people experience the same euphoria as I do when they hit those jumps, then it would only make sense that they enjoy it more. But that's not always the case, I feel like. We don't know if me and Jack even see the same color of orange. We both see the thing in front of us being that color at that time, and we're told that it's orange, but like I might be seeing a different tone than you. I'm pretty sure people do. What's your claim on jumps versus rails versus feelings versus just the satisfaction of a nice clean? I didn't even spin, just a straight air.
Well, as far as the color thing, I've literally been having that thought since I was 4 years old, and I thought I was insane for it.
And then you realize everybody's been thinking that.
I think I was claiming it a little younger than everyone else, though.
Oh,
I'm just
fancy.
kidding. But as jumps versus rails, I don't think it's as cookie cutter as you were claiming it to be at first. I think some people really do get more enjoyment out of rails, for sure. And some of it might be fear. I used to be more scared of rails than jumps when I was a little jump jock, slope jock academy kid.
It's all about how much you've done.
Yeah, and I was always, everyone that would say that rails are easier and more tame than jumps, I would be like, you're crazy, you're launching your body on metal.
They probably did more rails than jumps.
Yeah, and then when I went to college and wasn't able to hit as many jumps,
All of
I
a sudden, the
immediately
rails got
turned into
easier.
that camp. I was like, wow, it's so much, but you just pull up to the hill, you're just hitting some steel, you're not throwing your body 55 feet.
It's like front three versus back three. People always ask, what's easier, front three or back three? My answer is always, whichever one you've done more of.
Yeah.
If you start off doing a season's worth of back threes, then back threes are going to be easier for you next season, and that's why you got to strap in switch and ride every day switch, top to bottom. You know what I want to ask, actually, is what do you think about things that are allowed and not allowed? What do you think about that even being a thing?
You asking me about law and order in general?
On snowboarding. High back, showing versus not showing.
I thought you meant like anarchy. I think there's a couple things that are put in place for a good reason.
So safety.
No, I mean safety's part of it, but also just like, you mean like grabbing in different parts of your board, stuff like that. I think definitely that there's a good reason for there being proper places to grab on your snowboard and places that aren't proper.
Why is that?
Because some of it just doesn't look good, and it's a cop out, and it's too easy. And
That's the thing.
yeah.
It's almost like it's not a grab because you flail and you end up grabbing in some of the spots that end up being the no grab zones. And we all know that like when you're trying to get a stalefish, for example, getting it in the right spot is difficult. And the first thing you do when you start jumping and flailing is you grab that like tailfish spot just to kind of have a little security, safety grab, they call it.
Yeah, and when I was a younger kid, I would try to grab my snowboard on backside spins, and I would grab to the, I guess it's a tailfish, but like much closer to the tail than the stalefish, just kind of right off the side of the tail. And even before
the space, what's the limit? Where's the area that we're allowed to grab?
You need to be right on that tail. Like
how many inches?
Anywhere before it starts to slope off to the other side of your edge.
Okay.
And when I was, even before I knew the rules, I would look at it and be like, something doesn't look quite right there. So it's not like an arbitrary thing. It's like there's a reason why grabbing tail is proper and grabbing anywhere else is not.
Facts. So then what do you think about the ones like goggles under the helmet versus over the helmet, or the high back thing? Is there a valid reason for that, or is it just an age-old remedy?
I think it's an age-old, not remedy, but topic discussion. I think those are topics that have ebbs and flows. Like when I was
Tradition.
When I was a little kid, again, 2 years ago, over the helmet became, you would look at the older kids and they would be, if they had a helmet on at all, they'd be going goggles under the helmet.
For the contest when they were required or something.
Yes. And then I started doing that. And then a couple years later, I started seeing some of the kids that I was looking up to, some of my friends that were ripping, like Griffin McFadden and Will Healy, they started putting the goggles over the helmet, and I was like, oh, suddenly that's cool. So I don't think there's ever really been I
don't know if I heard those the same, but the first one was under the helmet?
First one was under the helmet, second one was over the helmet.
Okay.
And so at least in my experience growing up, looking at the trends, I don't think there's ever really been a set rule on which is cooler and which is more proper as far as goggles under the helmet or over the helmet. I think it's always just been different groups doing different things and different generations doing different things.
So like the pants being baggy and then
Yes.
skinny and then baggy and then skinny. At some point, it goes back and it goes forth. So
And it's absolutely
what
absurd.
about the high backs?
That I've never really concerned. That I didn't really even realize that was like a thing that people were paying attention to and judging until very recently.
Yeah, I think maybe if you're getting paid, you better show those high backs.
I think I just tend to
Show them.
show them,
Yeah.
not really on purpose, just because my pants are already there, and then I put my boots inside my high backs.
All right, so you got the trends coming and going, and you got some things that are just tradition. How's that tap into your thoughts on why are the step-in bindings now? Why isn't strapping in just staying a staple, just like the other staples that we have of the grabs and stuff?
Well, I think you can't talk about this without bringing up Josh Fisher, I think his name is, his points that he made on the bomb hull. He's a Burton rep sales manager, and he was just talking about how, of course, there is a niche for the crazy expensive step-ins like that. Those step-ins are not rendering normal traditional bindings obsolete. They're not affecting the market. They're not preventing other companies from continuing to make normal bindings. They are just cornering the market of rich people that snowboard 3 times a year that want this new tech that they see that they think makes their trip to the slopes, more accessible and more easy.
Or not even rich. Just people who would
Right.
rather pay an extra $100 or $200 to get way more runs in because it actually does affect them sitting down and strapping in. They're not there every day. It's not like us where we have no problem. Edge, strap in, take off.
Yeah.
It's more of an and thing, once again, not an or.
And I think that the step-in bindings that you first saw coming out, like the first iteration of Burton's, those were kind of one extreme. And then you saw more design and more design processes come out, and now we have things like Phase, which is more of a design that we're kind of used to, and it's still like a technical step-in type situation, but they are kind of bridging the gap between normal traditional bindings and the step-on bindings, and you are seeing them being embraced a lot more by like the core park riders.
Are they getting paid?
For sure, but some of them aren't.
What about Bon Iver?
Never even heard of it. Just kidding.
Final thoughts
Whoa.
on everything.
On everything.
Everything we freaking touched on.
It just comes down to, like we were talking about in the last one, just kind of doing your own thing and not caring too much about what everybody's judging and talking about, and everybody's got their arbitrary rules in place. And if you want to ride the step-ins, ride the step-ins, right? If you want to, you shouldn't be grabbing in stupid places, but if you really want to.
You should be trying to be the best that you can be. You can get that hand around a little further. And if you can't, then that says something. You might have to hit another yoga session like you were claiming about your body recently.
Yeah.
You might have to maybe take a donut or 2 off.
Or just move to the city and get a job,
Still, you show up on the weekends with that job money. You got the step-ins. You're on hill lapping, getting those extra pulls. You might as well grab Indy all proper. That's a whole nother topic within itself. We can keep
How
to
about
the next one?
How about grabbing? I grab, especially on my back sevens, Indy with my arm around the right side of my knee, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I think it looks cool.
But do you think it looks cooler than if you get a proper non-stink bug Indy and you kind of poke it out right?
I think it looks cool, dude. I think it's a tuck knee. I'm doing a tuck knee back 7, and Casey.
I don't know if it's a tuck knee because a tuck knee is a tuck knee, and that's not a tuck knee. It's a little.
Do you have a nice back 7 Indy that we can show with your hand inside your knee? Because that's one of those things where I like the way it looks. Casey has always been very steadfast in his opinion about the way that I do my indies with backside.
It's not
And
you. Not you. at all.
Well, it is partly me.
But
It's a
I'm
lot
not-
of people, but
It's not a you thing.
he's not singling me out. He's never said me specifically. I do, but he talks about the indie, and I'm like, oh, that's the way I do an indie. So,
Well, I would say for me, the back 7 thing is just like you, where at one point everyone was grabbing inside, and then at one point everybody stopped, even my favorite riders. And then once I seen them not grabbing it, then I was like, okay, they're making it look good. It does look good, but something about the specific style indie. And we all know that when the back doubles were just like overdone, the triples were back overdone, with the mute, all of a sudden anybody who grabbed Indy threw a whole different rotation on it. And I feel like the back 7 proper Indy inside the knee, when you poke it around and past it, when you do it the right way, I think it looks better than the back 7 kind of grab tuck knee thing, just because it's kind of like the easier route. It's like we were talking about, where when you just whip a back 7, that's where the hand naturally goes. So I just think it's kind of like the other ones, where if you want to do it harder and make it look proper, you should bone that thing out like Tom Malik.
Shout out Tom Malik.
We'll wrap it up on that. A lot of comments. We need 1,000 comments below on every topic, and we need more comments from you guys to let us know what you want us to talk about in the next one. You love to hear it? Do you love to hear it? You love to hear it?
You love to hear it? You love to hear it.
I'm Ron Burgundy. You love to hear it?
San Diego.